So just while we wait for everybody to arrive, I guess, in this day and age, I think we're still doing Zooms. So everybody welcome. Today's chat will be about how to leverage Facebook for your business, how to maximize it for yourself as a personal brand and as a company. And we've got three amazing panelists today with deep expertise in this subject who will be sharing their knowledge with us. Just before we kick off, I will say the Purposeful Project, our mission here is to help 10 million people start and grow a business for free. We never charge for our events. We believe free has value. We want to help those that can't necessarily afford to have expensive courses and want to learn, but at the same time, those that just want to perhaps learn today and give back tomorrow. So if anybody in the audience has knowledge and skill and they'd like to share it with the entrepreneurial community, please reach out to us. I'd like to thank Tide, who are our partners on these webinars, Tide Banking, and we have one of the representatives from Tide in the audience, Sammy, who, if you have any questions about banking, how to leverage your business banking and make it work for you, you can ask him in the comments. Tide are kind enough to support us in promoting these events and bring their knowledge and expertise to the table and when they can. So thank you to Tide. In addition, right now, Tide are offering a £50 cashback if you do open an account with them. Just to say, it's not an affiliate link. We don't make any money. If you do sign up, that money that normally goes to an affiliate will actually go to you. And we'll put a special code in the comment for you if you do decide you want to open up an account with Tide and get that generous £50 from Tide themselves for opening up an account. So the experts we have today, I'm very excited. I'm also one of these people who in recent years has gone off Facebook and haven't personally been using Facebook as much as I used to. I have 11,000 fans on my Facebook page. And originally people would click to join my Facebook fan page. And now I feel like I have to pay to reach the very people that click like and connected. So it put me off using that platform, something hopefully we can discuss with our panelists today and understand a little bit about what they know that we don't know. So let's get straight into it. I'd like to start off with Nat, if you could kindly say hello to everybody, just introduce yourself for a moment and perhaps explain a little bit about your background.
Yeah, hi, my name is Natania Bravo. I'm a business and mindset coach and the founder of the Bravo Life. My background was in the corporate world. I worked in the entertainment and media industry for about 10 years as a VP of brand marketing, working with all the consumer brands that we all use, Coca-Cola, BMW, Adidas, and really just got tired of making billion-dollar brands richer and decided to leave and follow kind of my own heart's pull, had my own little eat, pray, love journey, moved to Paris and started my business, which is now known as the Bravo Life. And we have now over 40,000, primarily women around the world, but we don't just serve women, but primarily women. And we provide coaching, resources, live experiences, and events for anyone who really is just committed to showing up as their best selves. And we really support coaches and consultants through brand strategy and marketing to really be able to create and grow purpose-driven businesses that are aligned with the life and business that they really want to create. So I focus a lot on messaging, offer creation, marketing, sales, social media, which I know we're going to get into today.
Well, quite the background. And so perhaps we could start off by you telling everybody listening your own experience with Facebook and what do you think it's valuable for businesses today, or like me, a bit skeptical on it now?
Yeah, I think with all social media platforms, right, I think we're all a little more cognizant that we don't own the platform. But I do think it's still valuable. At the end of the day, Facebook is where people connect on their off time. So they're usually less on guard because it's a social platform for like family and friends, as opposed to like LinkedIn, where you go specifically for business. So there are positives and cons to that. We can look at it on both ends, but I do think it's a great place to connect with people and have more personal relationships, which is how I built my brand in the beginning. My brand didn't really start as like a money generating thing. It was really creating community. And I think that's really the benefit of Facebook, because you can create your own mini platform on the platform through both your page as well as Facebook groups. And I think it's a great place to like get to know people, nurture your audience, provide value, and then let them get to know you as a person. Like my clients always ask me, like, how do I sell without selling? I'm like, be a human and like show up. And people want to know, people buy, especially if you're in a service-based industry, people buy from who they know, like, and trust. And so they don't want to just know about your offer. They want to know why. Why do you do this work? Why are you passionate about that? And so I think Facebook is obviously, like, for me, the best place to do like long form videos and lives, because yes, you can do it on other platforms, but I find people on Facebook are more likely to consume the videos than on other platforms just because of the way that it's built. So yeah, I really do think it's a great platform. It just is important to, one, create those more personal connections, especially if you're first getting started, and lead with value first, as opposed to just like, here's our business and come pay us and come work with us.
I think the point you're making there about communities is really fascinating. And by the way, folks, if you have any questions, you can ask them in the Q&A. We'll also be doing a Q&A at the end of the intros to each of the panelists. So if you have any questions, feel free to say in the comments or at the end. So just talking there, you mentioned community, which I think is really interesting. And so do you think there's any particular way to build a community on Facebook? Is it Facebook pages? Is it which way would you suggest people do it if they wanted to build a community on Facebook?
Yeah, personally, I would say groups are like the best way to create an actual community, right? People are actually opting in to want to learn and connect more with you. Obviously, you can do that on your page as well, but to kind of take it a step further where the person actually wants to really get to know you, what you do, a little bit more, hear a little bit more from you than maybe you share with just everyone on your page. For me, groups have been a great way to do that, both with paying clients, having private groups, as well as free groups. And I think, again, just having the ability to so the way that I look at content, like free content, I don't just believe in just creating content just to create it. Most of us who are in like solving some sort of problem or helping people with some sort of service, we have to take our ideal client through stages of awareness. And so what most people try to do is they try to say like, here's my solution, come buy it. But your ideal client doesn't actually probably even know like why they need your solution, because they actually don't know what their root problem is. And so through free content, whether it's on your group or your page, but I do recommend if you can create some sort of group container, that usually works best. Your job is to actually help them understand like, one, what is actually going on for them? What are all the solutions out there that they're probably considering, why they may or may not be the right fit for them? And then they can see, okay, now I'm aware of like what I actually need. Oh, Michelle or Jamie or whoever has this great solution for it, great. And so that ability to do that within like a closed environment, like a group, one, you also can like pre-screen to figure out who is in your group. So we ask questions before people join our group, like, why are you here? What are you looking for? So that we can craft the content to that, I think is really important. And I think, again, it just allows you to have that community. And we do it with our paid clients as well, where now they can connect amongst other clients and they can see, hey, I'm not the only one. And they become kind of cheerleaders and support each other and like your own little brand ambassadors. So I think that's really great, both for your paid community as well as people who are just kind of checking you out, want to know what you do, and providing some like private trainings and private tips and things that aren't publicly available on other platforms. Gives you more opportunity to, again, have those more personal connections. Like when someone leaves a comment, not just saying like, hey, thanks for that. Like, get to know the person. Like, I'm curious to hear what was most helpful for you on this. Like, where are you on your journey? I send voice notes to people even today. Like when people follow me on any platform, I send a voice note. Hey, how are you? So glad to connect. I'm not sure how you found my page, but would love to learn more about you. And people just appreciate that. And I would say a lot of like my highest paying clients have come from just those little interactions. It's not like day one, they join my group or I send a voice note and they're like, yeah, send me an invoice. But it just keeps that reminder of like, oh, this is an actual human, not just like a business. There's a human behind that. And I think that Facebook does allow you to do that in a way that other platforms don't necessarily have that much connection.
Great. The voice note tip, by the way, is just gold. I'm always shocked how many people don't realize how powerful that can be.
Yeah.
And I do a lot on my Instagram feed as well. Sometimes people will leave you a message. If you can leave people a voice note, I think it means a lot. And that human connection is very powerful. So one final question before we move on to George and get his download. On the verification, I feel like the blue tick side on Facebook feels like it's still important. Is it hard to get verified? Is it that important? What's your view on that side of things?
I'm not verified and it hasn't stopped us. We have a 7-figure business. We have helped over 1,000 clients in the last 3 years alone. People are more interested. Again, I ask every single client that's ever worked with us, whether it was a $50 masterclass or a $10,000 one-on-one program, what made you choose me? What made you choose this program? Because there's thousands of options in every service or industry or niche. So what made you choose this one? And usually it is that I resonated with you, meaning me, on a personal level. I like the way you show up. I see the way you serve your community. I like the way that you talk. I resonate with your style. I resonate with your story. And that is, again, what everyone has that within you. The people that are going to be drawn to you and your business. And this is really, especially when you're first starting out, it doesn't even matter if you're not in service. I think some of us look at like the end goal of like the big dogs, so like Apple and Nike and whatever, but they've already been doing this. They've got the big thing, right? And so they already have, when you think of Apple, you already have something in mind of like what that brand experience is. If you're just getting started, people need to know, like, what are your values? How do you show up for your community? How do you show up for your clients? And if you can show that through your content, a blue tick, I don't care. I'd rather work with someone who I know, yes, has the experience and knowledge and can actually help me, but also who I am aligned with, like on a personal level. Like I enjoy them. I like their personality. I like the way they show up. And it doesn't mean you being like how I am. You may have you might be more extroverted than me. You might like to cuss and swear. Like if that's you, own that, because that is really what's going to draw your people in, whether you have 100 people or 10,000 people or 1 million people with a blue check.
Well said. So folks, if you want to follow Natanya, you can. We'll put her links in the comment section. Strongly recommend you do. She's got so much knowledge to share, and we'll be taking questions in about 10 minutes. So please stick around if you want to ask questions of Natanya. Thank you very much. George, would you mind unmiking and perhaps sharing your experience with everybody? And we've got a few questions for you as well.
Yeah, awesome. Wow, Natanya did a great job. That's a tough act to follow. So yay, that was awesome. So just a bit about my background and how I got into social media marketing. It was actually kind of stumbling into it because back in 2008-ish, I had quit a job that I wasn't happy with, and I'd quit at the wrong time. It was like just at the downturn, right? And so I couldn't find a job for a few months, and I was very impatient. So I started during the job hunt. I was helping my friends and colleagues with their Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter, especially for their professional side of things. And they said, "Wow, you're really good at this." And one person said, "Hey, you should charge for these classes that you're teaching us," because I was teaching them, doing some classes. I'm like, really? People charge for classes online? This is 2008. I didn't know anything. So I started doing that, and gratefully it kind of took off, and I made some connections that helped to share my classes. And so now I have a full-time business selling online courses in various aspects of marketing, social media marketing, and what I call authentic marketing, because that's what I really want to champion. And just to define what I mean by that, so much of marketing, I think all of us have experienced, is trying to get us to do stuff, either interrupting us to get our attention, or then once they have our attention, trying to move us through particular emotions and thought processes to buying. And you might say, "George, well, thank you for describing marketing 101. That's what we're supposed to do." And I get it, and of course it works. Many things work. But for some of us, maybe who are watching this or listening, we might not enjoy that process. And so it's not mainstream marketing, the way that it's done is not enjoyable or purposeful for everybody, myself included. So I could never find myself doing those things with a very pure heart, you might say. So I have been spending the last, since 2014, exploring, is it possible to do marketing authentically from the heart in a way where I know I'm not manipulating people, but showing up with my best self, my higher self, my authentic self, in a way that I know if I show up as me without having to pretend or even to interrupt people to get attention, I trust that those who are meant for my business will resonate with my energy signature. And guess what? The experiment has paid off. Because if you check out my Facebook page today, you will see that No, I don't have the biggest audience in the world. 8,000 is nothing to sneeze at, but I have one of the most active audiences for that kind of number. And if I may share my screen, is that okay to do that? Talia had mentioned maybe it was okay, but I wanted to just share my screen and just show you briefly here.
You're going to test our technical abilities now, George.
There we go. Here you see my screen, right? So
Brilliant,
this is my Facebook page of maybe about 8,000 followers, and I posted this just 2 days ago, right? I have reached organically about a quarter of my page, 2,000 people without running ads yet, 75 likes, 18 comments, 7 shares without running ads. And I am so lazy that I don't even reply to most of my comments. I reply to some of them, I think, but I don't even reply to most of I just click love, whatever, just to show people that's my genuine feeling about it. So I just want to show you, like, this is what can happen when you, and this is true for other posts I've made as well. Let me see if I can, this is just a Facebook Live. Without boosting it, it reached 5% of my audience. Is that the right numbers? Yeah, about 5%, 19 likes. So this is what happens when we show up with ourselves, just like Natanya was saying, our human selves, and trust. Now, having said that, though, it is important, in my opinion, and probably Natanya and Candy would agree, to learn to use Facebook ads, because Simon, as you said earlier, starting about 2013, Facebook turned off the spigot for organic reach. We used to, back in 2012 and earlier, we had, the glory days where you could just post to your Facebook business page and reach many of your followers, people who liked your page. And then starting 2011 to 2013, around that time, they started turning off the spigot for most business pages. They're like, we got a business model here. Mark has a lifestyle to live now. So they started charging. They said, hey, you used to be able to reach maybe 80% of your followers. Now you're going to reach about 10%, if you're lucky, of your followers for free. You got to pay us for the other 90%. Now, how much does it cost, though, to reach the other 90% of our audience, or however much well, let me show you actual numbers here. These are the ads that I'm currently running on Facebook and Instagram. And as you can see, it costs me less than $10, sometimes less than $5 to reach 1,000 of my fans. These actually, most of these 4 are all warm audience, meaning people who have engaged with my Facebook or Instagram account in the past, like 90 days, or I have different definitions for these. Sometimes it's 60 days, 90 days, or 365 days. Anyway, these are people who have engaged already with some of my posts, and I'm able to reach 1,000 of them for, let's say, $5, or on average $7. So it's not that. I mean, Simon, you've run multiple businesses. How much does advertising cost? Way more than that most of the time, right? And so, I mean, I grew up with a dad who had a business, and he did advertising, like billboards, right? Flyers. Like, how much does that stuff cost? And who are we even reaching? With Facebook ads, you can literally see who you're reaching, because, for example, back on my screen here, let's say that I'll just go back to my page here, right here. Let's say I ran an ad and I go, wow, who did I reach? You can literally click on the people who liked your ad and go, oh, let me look at who Rowena is. Rowena is actually in the UK. I don't know if she's on the call right now. But yeah, you can actually look at her profile and go, oh, wow, this is what she does for a living. And you can look at some of her likes and say, oh, this is the kinds of things that Rowena is interested in. Am I reaching the right audience? Can you do that with a billboard? No. Can you do that with even Google ads or YouTube ads? Can you see the profiles of the likers, or the people who visit your page, and look at literally what their interests are? Not as easy as Facebook or Instagram. So this is why, and I'll show you my screen one more time. Simon, you were saying, is it time to move on from Facebook? Well, first of all, let's get some context here. Total internet users, I just Googled this, right? About 5 billion people around the world use the internet as of January 2022. 5 billion people, which is remarkable. And then what about Facebook? How many people uses Facebook? 3 of the 5 billion, approximately 3 of the 5 billion use Facebook. So about 60% of the worldwide internet audience uses Facebook. Is there anything else that comes close? Now, YouTube comes close, sure, definitely. And YouTube's supposedly the second biggest search engine in the world, right? After Google. WhatsApp, owned by Facebook. Instagram, owned by Facebook. Instagram is about half of Facebook's size. If you're wondering, should I use Facebook or Instagram? I'll just give you a quick tip on this. I have found that basically, if you took all Facebook users, all about 3 billion of them, and say, all right, just give me the people who are have more holistic values, more outdoorsy, who care more about nature, entrepreneurialism, beauty, fashion, art, personal development. Give me those people. Say, great, we'll give you Instagram. Instagram is basically, and slightly younger as well, but there are people of all age ranges on both platforms. So anyway, Facebook, doesn't matter what people say about it. Of course, it's so cool to hate on Facebook these days. It doesn't matter. Everybody still logs in, at least once a month, and most of them log in every day. So with that, I'll end on this one. People say, well, what should we advertise on Facebook? Should we, make a really, really fun video advertising our product? Sure, you can do that, of course. But the type of ad that I like to run on Facebook is quite unusual. I think of content, and actually this is similar to what Natanya said earlier. I think of free content as part of my ministry. And what I mean by that is, we are here, the Purposeful Project. We believe in doing good work in the world, the work that makes a difference. And it's important to understand this. The way you do your marketing actually makes more of an impact on the world than the customers you eventually serve, right? Like Simon, in your 18 businesses that you've created, all this marketing you've done has reached tens of millions, probably hundreds of millions of people by this point. Now, did you have hundreds of millions of customers? I don't know, maybe you did. But I know that my marketing reaches millions of people. I don't have millions of clients. I couldn't even handle 10,000 clients, or even 1,000 inquiries at the same time would overwhelm me, for weeks, right? I could handle, okay, maybe 10 inquiries a day would be like, oh my God, really? I have to respond to these 10 people? But my marketing is reaching so many more people than who eventually inquire with me. That's not, if marketing is good, if your marketing is actually really effective, the conversion rate is lower. Really? Yeah, let's talk this through. If your marketing is effective, it'll go viral and reach, let's say you make a video or write an article and it just goes viral. My God, people start sharing it. It reaches 300,000 people. You don't expect your conversion rate to be 10% or even 5%. You're like, my God, if I reach 300,000 people, I'd be overwhelmed with 300 inquiries right? And so our marketing makes, so the ads I run, and I'll end on this, the ads I run on Facebook are mostly just free content that ironically doesn't even have a call to action. I run ads, and a final screen share, I know I said that before, but the ads I run are like this. Let's see here, if I can give an example here. Well, the ads I run are like this, where I just run a video ad that's just content, that's teaching something, or I run a text-only ad. Yes, I love running text-only ads, because text-only ads, they have to click see more if they resonate with the message. And basically they just read the article and they resonate, like, who is this person? I don't even have my website at the end, nothing. But of course they're interested. It's so obvious and easy for them to click on my link. So I just want to challenge and invite you all who run Facebook ads to say, let me try running just native content for them, just to bless people and see what happens, because you might be quite surprised that you build quite a resonant and ideal audience as a result. So hope this helps.
George, that was amazing. I could just listen to you forever. I don't know. I don't just sit back and take it all in, because I do live in a bubble where I've got quite negative about Facebook, and you've made me feel very positive about it, because you're quite right. Compared to things like billboards and stuff like that, it's absolutely incredible what you can do with the Facebook tools. And so, yeah, well said, really. I feel inspired now, and Thank you very much, George. That's really appreciate the transparency as well, the way you've shared with everybody how you're doing things. It's very refreshing and insightful. So thank you so much, George. Please stick around, folks. If you've got questions for George, you can ask in the comments in the Q&A, and we'll pop George's contact information and his Facebook page in the chat right now, so you can follow him and learn from him. And Candy, last but not least, welcome. Would you like to unmic and tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what your thoughts are on Facebook?
Hey guys, wow, George, you should become a voice actor, like, or audible actor. You know what I'm saying? Like, your
I did
voice
have a
is so
couple of audible bits. Yeah.
soothing. I
Thank you.
see,
But
I
I
knew
don't want to.
it.
I don't
I'm
want to
really
put
good
everyone to
at
sleep.
that. Actually, so I'm actually a nurse. I've been a nurse for about 17 years. I'm no longer practicing, but as someone who I'm actually first generation Asian American. So I didn't want to work for the rest of my life. So I picked a career that would be able to fund my dreams and my risk-taking things that I wanted to do. So over the past 10 years, I did a lot of dreams. Like, I became an actor, I did modeling. I want to do something that I know that I would want to not have to work a 9 to 5 forever. So during the journey, I've had a lot of businesses along the way. I've learned from a lot of people I've met. I hosted a lot of events. I did fundraisers for nonprofits for anti-human trafficking. So along the lines, during that process, I learned the back end of the business and then marketing as well, because I became an influencer, and then learning social media. So when I got into social media, it's because everyone kept asking me, well, for questions like, how do you do this? How do you do that? How do you do that? So then I was like, well, I should start charging people for this and like actually work from home. So like 2 years ago, I started my social media marketing agency. I am a social media expert, and I have an e-commerce brand, and also I'm a life insurance agent as well. I started that over past 2 years, and it's just been booming. I help small business owners, which is my goal, because at the end, I want to help people build generational wealth. So my target audience is mainly small business owners, and I help them make more money using social media. I also do Facebook ads as well, but for promotional purposes of their businesses. But that's really what I do, and I actually have my social media marketing agency for that, and also I help others get life insurance to take care of their family and build generational wealth as well. So.
Great mission, Candy. So tell us a little bit about how you've leveraged Facebook. For example, we haven't talked much about Facebook Live. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what your thoughts are on tools like that?
Okay, so I started off, a lot of businesses are on Instagram. So that's really how the platform really works. So a lot of business owners are on Instagram. And then I kind of migrated to TikTok, and then Facebook did this weird thing this past year, and it's like amazing. Like, people really should. It's amazing. Like, I feel like their algorithm is actually better than Instagram and TikTok. They added Facebook Reels. So Reels are like, they convert 10 times better than anything else, like videos that are entertaining, providing value. And also, this actually puts you in front of the world, so people are actually knowing about your personality. You can be yourself, you can follow trends, and these videos people tend to share, especially if you do them correctly. Like, so yes, you can provide value with any type of post or content you create, but also entertaining, right? You got to be entertaining for people to want to share. You want your posts or content to be shared. But Facebook Reels algorithm everybody reaches everybody. If you're not using Facebook Reels, you're not reaching everybody. You can go viral on Facebook Reels way faster than TikTok. Instagram makes you work for it. but like one of my favorite tools on Facebook is using Facebook Reels. If you're not using that, because like George said, Facebook kind of toned it down. It's a little harder to get fans and likes on your Facebook pages. So what I did was I used my personal page. I also have a Facebook page, which that one has been verified, but it had no engagement because I wasn't using it, just like you, Simon. So I was like, I'm not getting people to like my page anymore if I'm running ads, whatever. But because I was I was doing Facebook Reels, I started to share my content off the Facebook page. So then I'm actually using both, and people are following my off of my Facebook page. I grew 20,000 followers in 2 months off of Facebook Reels on my personal Facebook page. Then I started posting things that people wanted to hear, that were relatable. I'm not talking about like business, I'm talking about personal things that people probably think in their head but are afraid to say it. So that's kind of like who I am as individual, as an influencer on social media. I start posting things that people want to hear, people want to see, they find entertaining, it's funny. It could be about money, it could be about the news, whatever. And I would leave quotes or comments or share videos, and my engagement has been like up the roof on my business page, because I'm sharing relatable content. I think we forget as business owners that we want to push our our work or our whatever we're selling, and don't we forget that we're also consumers. Like, we want to relate to our audience. So yes, we have an audience and we want to get to know our audience, but we want our audience to relate to us too. So we get personal. That's what I love about Facebook, because people are very personal on Facebook. When you log in, you share your family, your friends, like Tanya said, but but people are more ballsy on Facebook. They're more willing to leave comments and talk to you more and reach out to you more. Like 90% of my clients come from Facebook, because they feel connected to you. You're a person, you're real, versus pictures of Instagram. um you're more too professional or too not as approachable. But on Facebook, I can be myself. I can share stories about my life. I can be as personal as I want, or I can share or not, or just be about business. I can do all that. I get to be anything. I can write like long form, short form. I can be myself. I can be whatever I want. And that's what I like about Facebook, is because our audience can connect with you on a personal level, but actually feel like they can approach you. I got millions of people in my DMs all the time, on my messenger all the time. They just feel like they can talk to you. And that's what's great about Facebook. You get way more sales. I have gotten way more sales off of Facebook than any other platform.
Wow, you guys should all be employed by Facebook. I think it's quite amazing. I hope they should be sending you big checks every week.
Yeah.
Best marketing
They
ever.
actually do pay you. If you do it correctly, they pay you, right? Facebook
Right.
pays you, so Instagram pays me to do reels. But Facebook also paying people to do reels. So if you're like doing it correctly, Facebook will give you an invite to be paid to do reels.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we're technically paid.
That's interesting. Yeah. Do you on the reels front? Is it can you cross-pollinate content easily? So, for example, if you're doing a reel for TikTok, can you, if you remove the watermark, put the same reel up?
Oh man, I don't change my watermark on Facebook. There's no like strategy on Facebook Reels. There's no pattern that you need to create. There's nothing. I can post 10 times a day. I can post something that has nothing to do with what I'm like, and it still like reaches an audience, because you're actually just, I repurpose all of my Instagram is the only funny one that was like, oh, you gotta take your watermark off. But I'll use whatever I did on TikTok and post, even if so I teach my clients to um batch their content, because they don't have time to do it, right? So I can just do a batch on Sunday and I'll post all of them on Facebook. But I will not do that with Instagram, because I have a pattern set up. And the same goes for TikTok too. I probably save them, but if I create all of my videos, Facebook does not care. Like, I think the more videos you post on Facebook, the more reach you get. Like, I can be free on Facebook. There's no thought process. There's no think I need to post at this certain time. I need to do da-da-da-da. None of that. None of that on Facebook Reels. It's like that is probably the best tool they have that just came out and is like amazing.
I think it's a good reminder for everybody listening. I know myself, again, I have a little bit overlooked Reels on Facebook, just thinking it's a copy of Instagram and therefore, not worth the effort. But you've reminded us all, Candy. Thank you so much. And you made me think I should get life insurance at the same time, which is an impressive thing. I've not felt. Well done. I think one final thing before we move to Q&A, and anyone has any questions, you can put up your hand now and we can bring you up on stage. You can ask the panelists some questions and I will go and answer the questions in the Q&A in a second. But just before we go there, you just mentioned there you don't really think too much about your posting, but is there a marketing strategy for Facebook that you do think works? Is there any best practice? Or is it really just, be authentic and just post away?
I think it depends on the business, or if you're a public figure. It really just depends on if you're like, it really depends. So if you're like a business, like a brick and mortar, there's not, it's really hard to engage because your target audience is very limited. It's people that actually need these things. So I would typically tell everyone to like at least post once a day, something. um they're really on Facebook page. They're really, to me, it's just like what George said. It's really hard if you're not running Facebook ads to get the engagement and to people to notice you. So typically I say Facebook pages have become like the yellow pages. People come to see what your business is about, your ratings, if you have any good reviews, things like that. So basically just provide valuable content, testimonials, snippets about your, you know, discounts, coupons, things like that about your business. At least post once a day on Facebook pages. That's all I can suggest when it comes to run a Facebook page. It's really hard, like I said, like George said, it's like without running a Facebook ad, it's really hard to get yourself out there. But if you can utilize all of your social media platforms, like it doesn't have to be that hard. Like like Natanya said, you can use Facebook groups so people can go to your page, or you can talk about other stuff, your stuff at Instagram and TikTok so people will find you. But typically the way the Facebook create Facebook pages now is now become like a yellow pages for business owners. So just the best stuff, best posting, educate people, provide value, post at least once a day. And then also if people do leave comments, you should respond.
Yeah, not everyone could be George, I guess, right? Responding to comments, but I know what you mean. Well, look, anybody has questions, please, now is the time. If you want to come up on stage and feel brave and ask the panelists direct, if you raise your hand, Talia, who is moderating today's webinar, will bring you up on stage. While we see if anyone's brave enough to come and ask directly on camera, I'll just read out some of the questions. Robert Leet was asking, should you use a personal profile or a business page for your marketing? Does anybody have an opinion on that question?
Well, I'll chime in. I think the answer is both. Just like Candy was saying, right? I think most of us start off with a more engaged personal profile. That's where our friends and family are. And yeah, it's actually okay to post about your business on your personal, as long as you don't overdo it. You have a sense probably of what your friends and family are okay with. So just be aware. If you overdo it, if you have Facebook friends who are not really your friends, they might start to report your posts, and just be careful. Just do it in a way that's more gentle in terms of advertising your business, but you can share your knowledge about your field and that kind of stuff. Very welcome. But I do really encourage everyone to learn. You're here at this session about Facebook. Not learning Facebook ads is like not really using Facebook marketing. And I just want to, if I may, do a screen share one more time to show you something that I think.
Go ahead, George. Yeah.
Just to show you the numbers of people you can reach on Facebook ads. I just added in a couple of the top English-speaking countries, UK, Ireland, Australia, Canada, US, New Zealand, Singapore. And you could see that with Facebook ads, you can reach a mere 300 to 400 million people with Facebook ads. I mean, that's more people than you could ever, but let's say, well, George, obviously I don't want to reach everybody in the world. You could, of course, select what age you want, age and gender, languages, but let's just say you want to reach people who were here in the Purposeful Project. So let's say people who are interested in like personal development. So let's type this in, right? Personal development. Sometimes it takes a while. If I click personal development and I go back up to how many numbers we can reach almost 200 million people in these major English-speaking countries who are interested in personal development. And then we can click suggestions and see what other things, motivation, quality of life, coaching, da, 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 da. So it's just so much easier to reach the people who care about the things that you want to talk about, whether it's personal growth or beauty and fashion or particular, let's say you want to reach the fans of Apple computer, easy. You'd say you want to reach the fans of Nike, easy. These are fans, let's say you sell something that would appeal to Nike fans. It's easy to reach them using Facebook ads. Like I said, probably $10 US dollars can reach at least 1,000 of them. I mean, to me, it doesn't make sense not to learn. I mean, you have a business, your business deserves advertising, doesn't it? I mean, if you want to have a business, shouldn't you spend at least, I tell people, how much should you spend on Facebook ads? And you're going to hear experts say, well, you should spend at least, $1,000 a month on Facebook. No, I mean, most of us here are really, really micro businesses. $30 a month. Do you have $30 a month to advertise your business? I hope so. Unless you don't have a business, $30 a month can reach 3,000 targeted people. It's a great start. So, and then you can go up from there as you learn it better. So hope that helps.
No, there's a reason that Mark Zuckerberg is a billionaire. I think it clearly very justifiable. And George, as always, when you talk, I don't know what it is, your voice, like Candy said, I could just listen to you forever, and then I want to go spend money on Facebook. It's really weird. You've got a real skill there, and as always, yeah, you 200 million people. It's just crazy, isn't it? It's just crazy what you can achieve. And so other questions coming in, and again, anyone who wants to come up on stage and ask a question, I know you have to be brave to do that, but you just click raise hand, and we're happy to bring you up, and you can ask a question direct to the panelists. In the meantime, I'll read the questions out. Well, here's an interesting one, because I think it does come up. Katrina said, how ethical is Facebook? I struggle with its response to many issues. Now, that could be very political, I know. I don't know if anyone wants to talk about that hot potato, but I guess there is the belief sometimes that Facebook isn't necessarily the most ethical. But I don't know if anyone has an opinion on it. I mean, I can offer up mine, but anyone want to throw their thoughts in?
I'll just say briefly that I made a whole video about, it's a bit of a rant. It's called Good People, Please Don't Leave Facebook. And I have put the link in the chat below, and I hope it'll be wherever you guys are watching this later. You could see the full half-hour rant below. That kind of gives my full answer to it. But anybody else here want to say something about that?
I think just from what you just said there, by the way, that's a really good point, isn't it? I mean, I think the internet itself has the unfortunate ability to be evil as well as good. And if everyone said, "Oh, the internet is evil," and left it only to the evil people, then the internet would be purely evil. So I think the good people have to be in the arena, right? It's kind of what I take from your point there. And so if I agree with you as well. I say it's about NFTs and blockchain and crypto. I mean, I think the good people need to be involved in these things to make sure they don't become just tools for evil. So, but yeah, that's a good point. Anybody else got any thoughts on this? I know it's a bit of a delicate one.
Yeah, I will speak to the political side of it, because yes, we can argue that 99% of things that we use are unethical, and it's true. But to both of your points, I do believe that you have to look at your intentions and like, how can I use this? Like, if you're genuinely intending to use it for good, how can I use this for good and be a good within this? And if you're genuinely not aligned, like, that's okay. Not everything is for everyone. And I don't believe that you have to be on every platform, but I personally still show up and use Facebook in the way that works for me. And I totally get some people feel, and know that it has its unethical ways and things behind it. And we can argue about that for days, but that really is with literally our entire society is literally built on things that we can see as unethical and have facts behind why it's unethical. And I choose to really just stay within what is aligned with me and my values and how can I show up in this space. And anything that's not aligned with me, like I keep out of my space and network and really just focus on attracting and being of service to the people that I can who do happen to be on Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter. All of them have unethical practices behind them.
I love your point about intention there, Tanya. I think that's so true. And I'm a big fan of Oakley, the brand Oakley. And then they took on board an investor recently, that Blackrock, which is considered by some to be not a very good company. And there was a whole uproar about how, that product was supposed to be an ethical product, and now they've got an unethical investor. And in the end, they're still saving the planet, despite the fact that some might consider that they have an unethical investor. So I think it's a very personal choice, but I think being in the arena is a really interesting way of putting it. And if your intentions are positive, and you're using the tools to help people get the message out, to help people, then it makes total sense to leverage those tools. So I know Candy's being very quiet. Unusually, I feel like she's keeping herself to herself on this one. Robert asked a question. I've been posting reels on my Facebook business page, but not seeing much interaction from it. Am I better off using my personal profile? Candy.
Yeah, so I use my personal profile, and I've gotten a lot of followers just off of my personal page. Which I feel like it's better because it's your personal profile. So typically people are like willing to, you're more approachable versus a business. It's just, I think that's how psychology works. It's your personal page, and they feel like they can reach out to you more. But if you can, like I said with Reels, you can post as many videos as you want. Also pushing out valuable content, but also entertaining. So all of my videos, if you watch any of my reels or any of my TikToks, they're all valuable content that people wish they knew about, didn't know they needed, but entertaining, like trending sounds. I don't think we already really talked about, but as part of marketing is staying on top of your trends. That fits my personality. So like I don't do everything that everyone does as trending, but I make it my own. And that's really the important part of having creating videos and on social media, just making it your own, um, so people can relate to you. So you don't have to do all the dances and things like that. I just use sound. I sometimes just use the music in the background, just doing whatever, but providing valuable content, um, that and making sure that your audience wish they knew about it sooner, or never knew they needed this product, because you're pushing that out there, and making sure your videos are short. um but you can do a variety. I have some 30-second videos where actually I'm explaining a product, or really short 7-second videos really do really well because people's attention span is really short.
Great insight. No, I mean, sometimes this question comes up about whether you should use a personal brand or a company brand quite a lot. And I actually personally have built company brands with me behind it, almost as opposed to the personal brand being the company. And I think that sometimes there's some power in that. If you can build a company personality up, if you can build a brand personality, that could be quite powerful. Whereas sometimes with a personal brand, it does require your personal attention quite a lot, which can be a little trickier to scale later, because sometimes that means you have to do it all the time. But I don't know if you have any quick opinion on that, the personal brand versus company brand.
So I have an e-commerce brand that I don't, my face is not on it. Like no one knows that's even my brand unless I'm saying it on my personal page. Um, but it doesn't have to be yourself. You can also use other people. So like if it's like, for example, if it's a beauty product, let's say it's a beauty product, it's a beauty brand, you don't have to showcase yourself. You can showcase other people that's using your brand. That's still part of building a brand, but on a personal level, because people want to see for themselves, how does it look on myself by watching other people do it. So I think there's a good mix if companies also use And I see that in a lot of big businesses, big companies, that they actually use regular people videos as advertising. They use, like, for example, I'll just give out like wine by Lamborghini. If they use, I watched their Facebook ads, and they're actually regular people as their Facebook ads. And I think it's a great way to. It's good to mix it up. It doesn't always have to be building your personal brand up, then your company brand. If you know the good combination, the good recipe to do it, like once you have to play around with it a little, see. But a lot of company brands that I've seen, um, they do a mix of both. Also, a lot of people tend to relate to the CEO of the brand too. So I have companies here locally. Um, Let me use. I don't know if you guys heard, but like, it's another beauty brand. I can't think of her name right now. Super Scent. She has a makeup brand. Everyone knows who Super Scent is here in America. That is in beauty. But it was her brand first, and then she became the face of it because everyone wanted to know who is behind the cosmetic. I think she made like 3 million on Black Friday or something. So she got a big thing, big explosion. So like people are like, well, how did she do that? Da da da. So it's kind of like a mix, to use personal and company, just figuring it out. But a lot of people do want to know who is the person behind the company. And then that brings out a lot of people who actually align with the company because they relate to the owner. Does that make sense?
Makes total sense. Yeah. I mean, brands like Canon, for example, they work with celebrity photographers and they leverage personal brand, don't they?
Yeah.
They work with personal brands as opposed to our personal brand themselves, which I think is quite an interesting strategy. I guess that's the work with influencers model. But yeah.
And if I could just chime in a bit on this, those of us here who are essentially solopreneurs, there is sometimes this idea that we're supposed to look bigger than we actually are. And I used to think that too. And I used to try to make my brand look like I'm a company or something like that. But over the years, I realized, wait a second. Well, kind of like what Natanya said earlier, people work with her because they like her. And so same thing, I think for most of us solopreneurs here, people work with us because they like us, and our advantage over larger companies is that there's an actual face and person who cares. And so I just want to encourage everyone, it's okay if you just want to use your name as your brand, because your name is actually your longest lasting brand. I mean, unless you marry and change your last name, but your name, for most of us, our name is the longest lasting brand. So you might have different brands in the future, different cool titles and taglines, but ultimately your name is always probably going to be there. So if you are able to get yourname.com or .co.uk, do it ASAP. And it's okay to, like, I built my entire business around my name, and because I wasn't clever enough to come up with anything else. So it's worked well. Yeah.
That's a good point, George. Actually, on that point, I also recommend people, if you can, trademark your personal name. So I trademarked Simon Squibb, and that meant, for example, TikTok, they gave me my handle. Someone had taken it who wasn't Simon Squibb. And because I had the trademark for my own name, they gave me my handle. So just a small tip there. But yeah, very, very, very good point. And having your own name makes you unique. I mean, some names, there is another Simon Squibb out there, believe it or not. There are sometimes duplicates of your name, but you're pretty original straight off just by your name. So it's a really good point. So one more question then before perhaps we let our panelists get on with their days. So let me see. Okay, so Katrina here. I work with lots of introverts. How would you help them overcome the embarrassment of posting for sales?
Yeah, I will talk to that first. I'm an introvert, so I would have never said I would ever do something like this. If you would have asked me like 5 years ago, I'd be like, absolutely not. And I actually think I end up attracting most of my clients are introverts themselves because I openly share, like, if I can do this, you can do this. I think part of it is what I was saying earlier, like every post shouldn't be about selling. It should be about giving value. And I think, Katrin, if I'm saying your name correctly, I think I saw you're a business coach. So I imagine you're working with people who are selling something that's related to their own service. You want to be really looking at, like, you're not selling the product. People don't buy like my coaching or my modules or my course. They're investing for the opportunity for transformation. And so I focus on that. I'm giving you, extending an opportunity for some sort of transformation, whatever that transformation is that your service or offering provides, to go from whatever you're experiencing now to where it closer to where you want to go. I saw there's some people that are in like accounting, same thing. It doesn't really matter what your niche or specialty is, but really focusing on one, just providing value without any expectation of like, come click the link in my bio and buy, but also just talking about the transformation and being authentic and showing up again as like a human. Like when I think about how I like to be sold, I want someone that really I feel like gets me, and that they're sharing as well, like not just what they do and their expertise, but like why do they do it? I want to connect to that. And I think if you can help your clients really connect to like their story, their why, which I always say, like ask yourself why 5 times, like I want to grow this business. Why? Because I want freedom. Why? So that I can whatever. Why? And keep going. And you can start to share from that place. That's going to bring the right people in. And it's not going to feel like this car salesman that's like, give me your credit card, right? Which ultimately we are all selling. And I think another thing is just like working with your clients, just in general, how I work with my clients, of like understanding that selling is being of service. And not only are you doing a disservice to yourself by not showing up and extending these opportunities to people that want them, people that don't want them, they're either going to unfollow or they'll decide when they do. And that's okay. We're not here trying to like force anyone or convince anyone, but we're also doing a disservice to the people that could really benefit and are actively searching for exactly what you provide by not showing up and sharing it. And so when we start to think about like all the people who are literally waiting for, oh my gosh, I wish I would have found you a year ago. Oh my gosh, I wish I would have had this in my life 6 months ago, because we were afraid to like show up and share what we have to offer, what we have to say. That also, in moments where I'm like having doubts of, oh, I don't want to go on live, or oh, I don't want to do this, I think of that one person. I'm not trying to reach like hundreds of people. If I do, great. But I think of the one person I can help and I talk to that person. I think also sometimes we're like talking at people instead of having a conversation with someone. And even you just pretend, like have a conversation with that one person that you know would really genuinely benefit. Again, I'm not trying to sell people that actually don't need what I have to offer. Like oftentimes I'll tell people, I'm not the right person for you. Like, here's some other resources that might be better. But genuinely, if I believe that I can help someone, I believe it's my job to show up and show if and how I can help that person. And I come from that perspective. And it just takes practice. Like, I know, we're online. So like getting on video and doing things like this are like, especially for introverts, out of our comfort zone, but you do get more comfortable with it. It's just like riding a bike. And eventually it doesn't become so, oh my gosh, what if I say, like I make mistakes, I have typos. Like my clients aren't coming to me because I'm a grammar expert. They're coming for whatever their transformation is. And so I focus on that.
Wow, it's super well said. And I 100% agree. Serve instead of sell. And when you post, first bring to your mind and heart that one person, that one ideal client who just is so eager to receive what you've got and very accepting of you. And they're going to be so grateful that you presented what you did today, what your service, et cetera. And about the introvert thing, some of the best performers in history are introverts. How do they do that? Well, it's because they use their introversion, because introverts can be more creative in terms of visionary, because inside our head and our hearts, and we can bring that out, practice bringing it out. The last thing I'll say is this, especially since you are helping others do this, Katrin, set gentle but doable targets for them. It's like, listen, you're going to have to post at least once a month about your service specifically. Again, using what like Natalia said about serve instead of sell, and think about that one person, but do it at least once a month. And I tell people at least once a month on every platform that you use, social media. And as much as 1 out of every 5 posts, if you post more, you post quite often, 1 out of every 5 posts, or 1 out of every 10 certainly can be mentioning your service or product.
So just coming from like the actor perspective. So I'm actually I'm actually an extrovert when I'm out socially, when I leave my house. But once I'm inside my house, I don't want to ever leave it. That's who I am. Like my husband says, "What's wrong with you? You never leave the house." Like the only way I leave out of the house is if I run out of coffee, and I'm like, "Oh God, I gotta go to Walmart and get some coffee." That's the only time I ever leave. And once I leave, I go everywhere. But like I'm like a total extrovert. But when I first started acting, y'all gotta be in front of the camera, and it's like you have to watch yourself. So before you start doing videos or actually posting it, you can actually practice little segments of just talking to you. I think people get into their brain and think like, oh, everyone's watching me. But on video, no one's watching you but you. So if you can actually do videos of yourself and then do not post it and actually watch yourself, see how you are behaving, and then just keep practicing until you like what you see. And that's how you get out of everyone's I'm an introvert, but like I hate going live sometimes and I hate doing videos all the time as well. But if you can just keep practicing watching yourself and just knowing that you're not really talking to anybody, you're talking to yourself. um and then when you're watching yourself, you get to critique yourself. No one's critiquing you but yourself. And then until you find the video that you like, then you can go ahead and post it. And I think we so focus on what other people think. I think once you start practicing and understanding how you do your videos and how your personality comes through the videos, and it doesn't not the first time. It takes so many videos before you get the hang of it. I just People need to understand, like, it's not overnight. When you get to do videos, you get comfortable with it the more you do it. And then also not getting stuck with what other people are thinking. When you're in the social media, that's what everybody in the world is there, and there are always going to be negative comments as well. There can be a lot of positive comments, but our focus is just putting your content out there, because it doesn't really matter what other people think. I think that's what holds people back, introverts, from creating videos. Is I'm so scared what other people think of me. And if you guys can get past that and actually watch yourself first, and like what you see as part of like loving yourself as well, and being comfortable with what you see, then everyone else is going to be comfortable with what they see. Yep.
So well said. I cannot thank you guys enough for taking time out to share your passion and knowledge. I feel inspired. I'm just going to quickly, I made some notes. I've got COVID, so my head is a bit fuzzy, but I think these are the things that I've taken away. If I've missed anything, tell me. But Natanya was talking about making it personal on Facebook. There is a personal element of Facebook that gives it an edge. It started off being connection to your friends, right? So I think there's something really good to leverage there. Building a community, she mentioned, which I love. I think that's not talked about enough. Voice notes, she touched on that, which I think is really powerful as well. A couple of people on my TikTok are saying how the younger folks don't like to be interrupted with voice notes. Well, I think personally they're quite useful, but it's good to have different opinions. But I found voice notes to be quite useful, and it's a good point I thought from Natalia to remind everybody of that. And talk to one person. I think that's another really good point that Natanya has brought up. I think sometimes we're talking to millions, or we want to talk to millions. Just remembering the one person you're trying to help, the one person you're trying to reach, and maybe have that conversation is really powerful. George, I think the authentic marketing piece that you bring to the table when you talk is so powerful to me. I think you kind of personify. When anyone ever says authentic, I'm going to think George now going forward. I think there's such a powerful thing there when you are who you are, and you're transparent, and you're you, and you share. And I think that's one of the big things I take away from George's insights today. Free content is good marketing, I think, is a real interesting point. I think sometimes people think that everything has to be charged, but there is real value in free. I find that it really brings people together. If you're willing to give, you get. I mean, give without take is kind of a thing I really believe in. So I really love George's point there. And serve instead of sell. I'm going to write that on my podcast wall, I think, George. Serve instead of sell. But I think it's really powerful to think about things in that context. And Candy, so many great things. I mean, reminding us all about Reels. Thank you for that. I'm actually going to go watch all your reels now, because I feel like I need to see what the trending sound is and how you're pushing the envelope there. Get personal was something I took from you. I think that, you know, that's so powerful, being very, I guess, intimate and honest with your audience, and make it your own was another vibe I get from you, you know, taking those trending sounds and making it, you know, your own thing, which I think is really powerful. And I like watch yourself. I think this is something, I'm an extrovert, but I still cringe when I watch myself. So, but it's something, it's good to become comfortable with seeing who you are and fine tune how you present yourself, and don't become a caricature necessarily for the sake of getting more traction, but be yourself and be authentic. So those are just some of the things I've taken from you guys today, but I can't tell you how much I appreciate the energy and the time that you guys as thought leaders have taken to share with everyone here today. So thank you, everybody. And I hope everybody in the audience also got some value from today. We'll now put the contacts to all the speakers in the chat. And if you're listening to this later on YouTube or wherever, Facebook, we'll put down in the comments below the contact information of each of these panelists. And I strongly recommend you follow them, and you'll learn a lot by following them. So please do that. And if you want to drop them a note and say hello, even better. But I hope you've all found it to be useful. If you have any questions still that we haven't answered, feel free to go on Facebook and ask in the comments. Clearly, every single one of the panelists, probably with the exception of George, will reply. I'm sure George will too. And feel free to ask questions of myself at Simon Scribb on Twitter. Happy to answer any questions you have throughout the next 24 hours. I'll keep an eye on that. So if you have any questions. And we are now working on our next webinar, which will be about the metaverse. So if you're interested in learning about the metaverse, I've got some incredible panelists. That one of the founders of Sandbox, which is now one of the biggest metaverse ecosystems out there at the moment, $5.6 billion company he's built in the last few years. He'll be joining us. We'll be talking about how to make the metaverse work for your business. So if you're interested in that, then please do go and sign up on our website to our main list, and we'll keep you informed. And then finally, today we released a podcast with the founder of Shazam, which was one of the biggest Apple acquisitions ever for Apple when his company was bought. So that's a story worth listening to. Again, you can get that through the purposefulproject.com. Again, thank you to my panelists. Thank you to Tide for supporting our webinars and our mission here to help 10 million people start and grow a business, and look forward to meeting you all in the real world one day. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you for having